Mark Raimondi for ESPN, back with you this morning, and we have a special guest. Look who it is, George St. Pierre, the former UFC welterweight and middleweight champion. George, it's been a while. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. How about yourself?
Not too bad. It's sunny here in Los Angeles this morning. I see you're in your man cave, it appears, behind you.
Yeah, it's a room of full of decoration from my fights and stuff that I've done through my career.
It looks pretty darn cool. I think you should take us on a tour maybe at a later date. We'll set that up.
All right.
There's a few things I wanted to ask you about, but the first thing I wanted to ask you was I know that you're affiliated, you're partnering now with O2 Industries, which is the official face covering sponsor of the UFC as well. And tell me about this new project that you're working on with them. It's a respirator, right? A face respirator, face covering for athletes.
Yeah, it's top quality. They work with the U.S. and Canadian forces, and I'm working with them to develop a sport performance respirator. So now, because of COVID, a lot of sport, especially in martial art, mixed martial art, we're in close contact. It's impossible to keep social distancing. So we're working on developing a sport performance respirator that could be used for every athlete in any sport to secure themselves and secure also others.
Do you have one of them around? Can you try it on?
No. Yeah. I have the TR2, but I don't have this one is coming out soon, so we're working on it. It's gonna come out in the next few weeks, few months.
And I believe, I'm not mistaken, the previous version was the one that fighters have been wearing on Fight Island, right? I think during UFC fights.
Exactly. The one on Fight Island is the TR2 is the one on Fight Island. But now this one is one gonna be easier to put on and put out, and it's gonna be better, more efficient for fighters, and just as safe,
So of course, I imagine I'm gonna jump to conclusions here and say, if you're working with O2, you have the new face respirator for fighters. Maybe it's time for a little George St. Pierre return to the octagon. What do you think?
Well, we'll see, because now it's a question of infrastructure. It's also it's been 2 years. The stars need to be aligned perfectly, and now it depends against who and what. And I'm not getting any younger, so we'll see.
Your name has been tied to Khabib Nurmagomedov for a few years, even before you decided to retire. I know that was a fight that was being discussed, and I know it was a fight that you and Khabib wanted. And as recently as just 2 months ago, Khabib wrote on Instagram, if he beats Justin Gaethje, he wants his 30th fight to go for 30-0 against George St. Pierre. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, look, you need to focus on Justin Gaethje, because it's going to be a hard. It's not going to be a walk in the park. But the thing is, I'm 39. 3 years ago, when I retired, we tried to make the fight happen, and I was all in. I was trying to make the fight happen, and UFC didn't want to do it. And now 3 years have passed by, and I don't know if the UFC gonna change their mind, and even the UFC want to make the fight, they change their mind. The star need to be aligned. Time have passed by. I haven't cut weight for a long time. I think Khabib want to make that fight at 155. I never fought at 155. I can surely do 155, because I'm not a big welterweight. But the problem is I never been there, so maybe my performance could be compromised. So one of the principle of the art of war is to know the terrain. He knows the terrain. He fought at 155 his whole career. I do not. So we need to find a place where we could both not knowing the terrain. So we'll see.
Dana White told our own Brett Okamoto from ESPN recently that things have changed a little bit, and he's more willing to, I believe the exact words were, we'll do whatever Khabib wants. We'll listen to what he wants. And he's made it clear for a long time, even before he was champion, George, that he wanted to fight you. He's been a big fan of you. He thinks that you're the best fighter of all time. And his father, it was also a dream of his father, who passed away, of course, over the summer, of Zumanop, for Khabib to fight you. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, like my condolence, like for his father, of course, but it's sad. But yeah, I believe Khabib right now is he's the best fighter in the UFC. He's the best guy right now. He's undefeated. Nobody have beat him. He has this aura of invincibility. And what is the most scariest thing for a fighter, but also the most excited, is to fight someone who seems unbeatable. So if I ever consider to come back, that would be the fight that I would be interested in because of that reason. But so I have a mixed feeling about it, because sometimes when I train now, it's COVID, it's different, because things has changed. Right. The situation has changed, but when I train, I feel I still get it, So if you would have asked me, would you like to fight Khabib, like in the middle of my training session or right after I'm in the gym when my adrenaline is up, I'll be like, yeah, let's do it. I'm excited. But then after I take a hot shower, I go eat, hang out, come back home. And then I'm thinking about all these dramas and stuff. I'm like, hell no, I'm not going back into that zoo. Oh no, I'm good where I am. So I have a mixed feeling about it. 3 years ago, when after my fight with Michael Bisping, I was all in, we tried to make it happen. Now things has changed. As the star need to be aligned. 3 years ago, I was even willing to go down at 155. I was back. I was active. Now it's tough, like I don't know. I think it would be a mistake for me if I go back at 155. I think it's a big mistake because I could make 155 maybe, but my performance could be jeopardized because I never been there. You know what I mean? I never been a big welterweight. I could go down, but it would be hard. I'm not a big fan of cutting weight either. I had a recent interview and I talked with Charles Sonnen, and I saw a recent interview with Adesanya, and I think it's a big problem in the sport. Fighters should fight at their weight, you know what I mean? And fighters are cutting too much water weight. I think it should be multiple weigh in, and maybe one the day of the fight, and the day before, maybe the week before, and the month before. So to avoid those crazy weight cuts that is killing the athlete of our sport today. It's very bad. They might not kill themselves spontaneously, but the residual effect, that the damage that these thing does to them, they will feel it later on into their life. It's very bad.
Do you have any of those feelings now from cutting? I know you didn't cut a whole lot, and certainly not.
And always consider my health before my performance. That's one thing. That's why I never cut too much weight. That's why I never took performance enhancing drug. I never used drugs, anything like this. For me, health is the most important gift that you could have as a person, the most important one in the world. And I try to never compromise my health over my performance. Sometimes you have no choice. You're going into a war, for a fight. It's not healthy. Doing sport, it's a healthy thing to practice sport. But to do any sport at the world-class level, it's unhealthy. So I try to always find the best compromise for me, that where I can be as healthy as possible. And cutting weight is very bad.
Just want to put a bow on the Khabib discussion for a minute, and we can move on to the next topic. But is it at least fair to say you have at least some interest in that fight in the future and a comeback?
Yes, like I say, it's a mixed feeling. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. And Khabib is maybe bigger than me when he's off season. I'm 185, and people know me, and I've met Khabib many times. He's about the same size as me. Maybe he's bigger than me. I heard he goes up to 195, sometimes even 200. I don't know if it's true, but if it's the case, I never been I never been that big. You know what I mean? Even when I fought Michael Bisping at the day after I gained back my weight after the weigh-in, I couldn't go up to 185. 195. I was 192. And I felt swelling, and I didn't feel good at that weight. 185 is my weight, and I'm sure he's about the same size as me. So could be, you can put everything in contract. You could have a weigh-in. You could stipulate, I want the guy have his shorts need to be yellow. You know, you can put everything. So there is always a way to work things out, and but the stars need to be aligned for me, if in order to make that things works. Because I was very flexible 3 years ago. Now I'm not really. I'm good where I am, and you know, and I'm a big fan of Khabib. I enjoy watching him fight, and you know, I look forward to see his fight against Justin Gaethje, and I'm gonna be a commentator during his fight live, and it's gonna be amazing. I mean, I'm very excited for this fight, and if there's one man that can beat Khabib right now, it's Justin. So, you know, Justin is very hard. It's not gonna be a walk in the park. So it's gonna be, as a fan, I'm very excited for that fight.
And that'll of course be for RDS in Montreal, correct? The network.
Exactly. So you know, fighting, it's a young man's game. You know what I mean? I don't say I'm old now, but I don't have much time left. I would never fight at past 40 years old. That's not my goal, and I knew it before. And now I'm 39. I still get it. I feel I'm still in my prime, but stars need to be aligned. You know.
So the wind, there is a little bit of a creak in the window. You're not 40 yet. You're saying there's a chance, George.
The chances are very low. I highly doubt it. It's not because of Khabib. I believe it's because of the UFC. We've tried 3 years ago, and 3 years ago was very flexible. We try everything, and it didn't work 3 years ago. So now I don't see why it will work now. I think it's the best interest for the UFC, if I put myself in their shoes, to keep the ball rolling, to have another contender that challenge Khabib, that could beat him, to if he wins, the title stay in UFC. I run away with the 170. I run away with the 185. They surely not want me to come back and be there and the undefeated champion and run away again. So I think for a business purpose, it's a big risk to take, you know, and I don't think they're willing to do it. It's logical.
How do you see that fight with Khabib and Justin Gaethje going?
You can't bet against Khabib. For me, he's the best fighter right now on the planet. He's the best right now. Everybody knows what he's gonna try to do, but nobody figure out a way to avoid it. You know, Khabib put an incredible, relentless pressure. He always start the fight, you know, going a little bit defensive, so he moves a lot, and I think that will be when Justin need to take advantage of that. You know, in the beginning, you need to be respected, standing up and put pressure right from the beginning, because Khabib doesn't put a pressure right in the beginning. Sometimes he moves around a little bit, but after the fight picks up, he's relentless. He's like a leech. You know, he stay on you, on top of you, and he doesn't let you go, and it's very, very hard to deal with him. Justin need to find a way to stay in the middle of the cage, you know, to make these crazy exchange, you know, like phone book exchange, like swinging exchange happen, you know, and that's his best chance to fight Khabib, you know, and Khabib, on the other hand, need to push the fight towards the fence, you know, use his pressure and use his wrestling skills to put Justin down and close the distance. Because when you fight a guy like Justin Gaethje, he hits very, very hard. So the best position to be is all the way out or all the way in. You don't want to be in the middle of an exchange with him, because that's when things get very, very dangerous. So it's a dangerous fight for both guys. But I believe if I had to put my money on someone, of course, you cannot bet against Khabib. His pedigree speaks for itself.
A couple of the quick things, George, and I know you're busy, and I appreciate the time that you've taken today to chat with us. You're the last title you held was the middleweight title, and Israel Adesanya has kind of broken out now as the standout UFC middleweight champion, best 185er in the world. What are your thoughts on Israel Adesanya?
Oh, he's fantastic. I watched his fight the other day. He's amazing. He's a perfect fighter. He's clean. He's great image. Great dancer as well. Very entertaining. And he's got it all. He's got a charisma and everything. He's a good role model, you know, and he has his own style, you know, in a way that he does stuff sometimes that shock people, that you know, in terms of stuff he does after the fight, but it's all about like love me, hate me, but don't ignore me. And he has his own style. He's very entertaining. And then we live in the entertainment business. We're fighters, but we're in the entertainment business, and our job is to entertain the audience, and he's doing it very, very well.
I know that you've said that Khabib is probably the only fight that you would come back for, but you were the 185-pound champion. Adesanya has become a star. Any chance? I mean, any interest in GSP versus I'm trying.
I'll get tell you the truth. I weigh 185 in everyday's life. I went up. When I went up to fight Michael Bisping, I believe the mistake I made was to trying to get bigger, because I thought in order to perform better against a bigger man, I need to get bigger myself. But I think it affected me a little bit, and I developed problems because of that ulcer colitis problem. So for me, I think it's always better to stay at your weight. I think your body has a weight where it is optimal. Optimal weight for performance, so that's why it is, I believe.
I actually wanted to ask you about that quick. John Jones is talking about moving up from 205, where he spent his entire career, longtime champion, to heavyweight. You made that move up. Any words, any advice for Jones in moving up in weight? Because I know that you put a lot of thought into it, but it didn't go maybe as well as it could have.
I believe, yeah, I believe. It depends, John Jones, what he does. Everybody has different physique and different, ways of doing things. But I believe John Jones can be champion in heavyweight. If he fights right now heavyweight against Miocic, I believe John Jones will win. I believe.
Really?
I believe he can. I believe John Jones can do it. He has a very big frame. I used to see him live when we trained years ago. He was very big man, and he's very, very skilled. And I think now he's in his prime. Now I think that's the time for him to make the move. And I understand him in a way that he have done it all as a light heavyweight. Why risking your legacy for a little reward when you can go up and you risk it all as well, but there's more reward in terms of legacy, in terms of money as a heavyweight. And I think is stylistically match up. I think he fits better with Miocic than with Francis Ngannou. I believe, from his recent fight, from analysis perspective that I personally have, but I could be wrong. I believe for him, if he goes up as a heavyweight now, he's gonna be a world champion heavyweight as well. That's what I believe.
And just last thing for you, George, and again, thank you. Nick Diaz, your old friend, has said that he's going to be coming back in 2021, first fight since 2015. What are your thoughts on Nick Diaz's return?
And I wish him the best. I love to see him fight. I just wish and hope that he comes back as good or even better than he was, because I believe he can be champion, man. He has a crazy style of it. He comes forward, and his game is very, very, very underrated. Like when you fight him, you feel like a little bit like a feeling of claustrophobia. You feel claustrophobic. He's talking to you and something, and he's playing with your mind, and he's very, very well rounded. And I think he can get up there and cause a lot of problems to a lot of guys. I always said it I believe when Tyron Woodley was champion, he should have gone and fight Tyron. It would have been a great fight for the fans, and I think he would have had a chance to win because of the style. Now the fight is the champion is Kamaru Usman. It's a different style of fighting. I don't know why he's gonna match with that. But I think he should give it a shot before it's too late. He will regret, and if he feels as sharp as he was or even better, he should do it.
Usman is also a guy that mentions your name an awful lot. And
Yeah.
when do you think that will end? Like how soon after you're gone do you think that people will stop calling you out?
Look, I know. Is you said Usman, you asked me Adesanya, you asked me Khabib. If I ever come back, look, I'm not coming back for many fights. If I come back, I would be one fight, and I need to take, for me, the biggest fish right now, and the one who's, you know, for me, I believe the top guy right now, the name is Khabib. You know, like as a fighter, like I said, as a fighter, the most excited thing is to take the guy that seems invincible, unbeatable. You know, he has the aura of invincibility, but it's also the scariest thing to do. You know, when you fight, you're always scared. I'm always scared. People sometimes saying to me, "Oh, you scared to fight this guy?" Yeah, I'm scared to fight everybody. I'm always afraid, and it's not gonna change anything. It's a subjectivity. I'm always scared. And you know what? Thank you, because I perform at my best when I'm scared. But even though I'm scared, I'm going to make the walk and walk the walk and do my job on the night of the fight, you know, and that's how fighters should be, you know. It's being scared for a person who doesn't fight. Sometimes they don't understand that. Like, oh, he's scared of doing this, doing that. Yeah, of course I'm scared. And I'm not scared to admit that I'm scared. You know, some guys, they don't want to admit it. I'm always scared. There's not a fight that I had that I wasn't scared. And the one that I wasn't scared enough, it was Matsero. And I got knocked out. So maybe it's a good thing to be scared.
Lesson learned. George, we'll wrap up there. Thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it. I know you're busy. Always an honor speaking to you. Thank you.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself, guys. Stay safe.
Thanks, George.
Cheers.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.